Mea culpa, mea culpa, mea culpa. I'm sorry. We're a couple of minutes late here on Seth and Sean Sports Radio. Not really radio anymore. But
We are not a radio show anymore, dude. We're not even a podcast anymore.
we're live.
we made the 20. We're in the 2020s now. This is all video. You can look at my swollen eyes and my barely able to speak verbiage.
Well, you had a long week. It's understandable.
I've had a long year. Today was a nice day off.
Completely understandable. Here we're at Seth and Sean Sports Show, I guess. I'm Seth Sean. I've had a long week too. That's Seth Kamens. I'm Sean Palmer. Seth and Sean Sports, and we're here talking playoffs this week. And I knew that was going to happen. It really is. I mean, it's fine. Look, we are what we are. We have NBA and NHL playoffs this week. We have a couple of other things to talk about as well, but let's dive right into it. Seth, I know you don't give a rat's ass about the NHL playoffs.
Nope.
Not one iota.
Nope.
Okay. But we do need to make our picks because we do this every single year, and none of us are ever right, but that's okay. So let's get on to the first round of the NHL playoff bracket, where we have the Capitals and Washington are at 1-1 after an OT win.
Actually, unless I'm mistaken, you just said the Capitals and Washington.
Oh boy, Capitals and Bruins.
Jesus Christ, I'm the one who's been working a zillion hours. Not so have you.
Oh, wait a second.
So have you.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're not. The Capitals and Washington are not playing each other.
No, Capitals and Bruins are playing each other this week, and where's your take on this? I mean, for me, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't with these two teams. I mean, Boston is the old guard. Washington has definitely some new blood, especially in the goaltending department. 1-1 last night. Brad Marchand scores an overtime goal. Both games have gone to overtime. It's 1-1 in the series.
It's a 7. If there's ever a series that was meant for 7 games, it's this. I agree. I don't think either of them are new guard by any stretch of the imagination. Boston is ancient. Washington is old, but not to the same degree. I do like Washington. It'll be 7. And 4 of those games, as you said, are going to go overtime. You could flip a coin on this one.
And I will take Washington as well, more so because I want the Islanders to play Washington than I do want them to play the Bruins. I have said for the entire year that the one team that causes me fear in the East, aside from Tampa Bay, is Boston. And I just think Boston plays the Islanders in the same manner that the Islanders play. And we get smoked by them every single time. This year we've had a little bit more success against them, but this is playoff hockey. And playoff hockey is much different than regular season hockey, same as the NBA. So moving on, the Islanders take game 1 last night on Sunday, much to my glee.
By the ex-Devil.
What's that?
With the game-winning goal by the ex-Devil, I believe, Kyle Palmieri.
Kyle Palmieri makes his return. I did not know this. He is the first New York Islander born on Long Island to score a playoff goal. I thought that was pretty cool. That's a pretty cool sentiment. The ex-Devil scores on the island, and the Islanders take a 1-0 lead. They play tonight, 7:30. Hopefully, I'll be awake and watching the game, but I'll take the Islanders in 6.
Why not? I'll give it to you, man.
Just to make me feel good?
The Islanders in 6.
Look, I appreciate that. Now, let's move over to the other side where Toronto plays Montreal in a battle. Look, you were going to say it's a battle of Canada, but there was no way it wasn't because the whole division was Canadian this year. So we're going to have 2 battles of Canada. Toronto plays Montreal, and look, I would love for Montreal to pull this out. It's not going to happen. Toronto's got firepower on top of firepower on top of firepower. I'm going to pick Toronto in 5.
Do you still have? Now the big question is: do you still have the Tavares bobblehead? Tavares bobblehead I bought you for your birthday.
I will tell you that I did give it to my nephew, and I said, If you happen to hit it too hard, that's okay. So, but the other question is, did you ever get the shirt?
I did. I apologize. I didn't thank you. Yes, I got the shirt a couple days ago.
Okay, great.
And Carly told me I look good in it. So right now I don't look good in very much, so I'll take whatever compliment I can get.
You're welcome, Carly. All right, so Edmonton playing Winnipeg in the Battle of Western Canada.
Yeah, Gary Bettman is betting his life on big TV ratings on this one.
Yeah, but he's more betting his life on Connor McDavid than he is the Winnipeg Jets. So I'll think that comes true. I got Edmonton.
Yeah, I do too. Winnipeg is always a fun team to watch, and their goalie Hellebuck is awesome. But yeah, look, when you have 6 number 1 picks in a row, which is what it seems like Edmonton's had over the last decade, you're bound to win a couple things. So on they go.
Totally agree. Okay, moving on to the Central Division in Carolina versus Nashville.
Another TV ratings bonanza. How is Carolina How is Carolina this good?
Because Carolina's defense is this good. They are soup to nuts I was going to say a very solid team, and I can't stand when people say very and something else because it makes like a very excellent anything. It's either excellent or it's solid. It's one of the two. They are solid soup to nuts. This is a good team, and I'm actually picking them to go to beat Tampa Bay in the next round.
Okay. Well, I can't really argue with that. I mean, yes, I can argue with that, but I'll take Carolina.
Okay. And now we get on to Florida, the Battle of Florida, another mecca of ratings here for the NHL, given that 30 years ago, there wasn't hockey in Florida. Look, Florida has been the great story of this year, but Tampa Bay is just too good. So I'm going to pick Tampa Bay in this and have Tampa Bay go against Carolina in the second round.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's be honest, the only reason Tampa is on the – hold on, I'm being yelled at. Hold on. You can hold on. Sean, continue the preview. I will be back.
All right, fair enough. So we'll get back to Seth in a little bit. Moving on to as we said, I got Tampa Bay beating Florida, and now we're getting into the second round here in the East, and so I have the winner of New York and Pittsburgh playing Washington. So I have the Islanders playing Washington. And the Islanders have suffered against Washington the entire year. I can pray and pray and pray that they will win, but I will not. I'm not going to pick them. Like, it's really hard for me to pick them in this game, in this series, because it is difficult to see that they can beat the Capitals. I just don't see it. So I'll pick the Capitals over the Islanders to go in that. We have Toronto and Edmonton, which may be an outstanding matchup. Seth's back. An outstanding matchup, Seth.
Did you miss my hockey wisdom?
I did. Well, at least your Devils. Wait, Devils aren't in the playoffs. Forget that. Your Toronto.
Really?
Yeah, I really.
That's the team you have to go after.
I have no other team to go after, dude. None.
The Yankees have been mediocre. The Giants haven't made the playoffs in 5 years.
And the Mets are in first place, although they now lost like half of their lineup in the last 24 hours to injury. I have Edmonton beating Winnipeg, so now it's Edmonton versus Toronto. And as much as we didn't like the ratings before, these ratings will be good in Canada. They may not be great in the United States, but you have Austin Matthews and John Tavares, he who shall not be named, in Toronto against Connor McDavid in Edmonton. That's a good rating. That even
for Canada, yeah.
Well, even the United States hockey fans will tune into that game.
Yeah,
they will.
It would be more interesting to me. Yeah.
And the good thing about the NHL this year is normally, and NBA doesn't do a very good job of this, is that they play the games all at the same time. So you're generally having halftime around the same time in the NBA. you're generally having baseball innings around the same time. The NHL is actually staggering their starts. So when you have an intermission between the first and second period, what NBC or NBCSN is doing is flipping to the other game, which is kind of awesome if you think about it. It's just nonstop hockey. So they actually learned a little bit in the past. I will take, unfortunately, Toronto over Edmonton in this series, and then Toronto faces Washington in my Eastern Conference final. In my
Did
Eastern
you take
Conference.
Washington over the Islanders?
Oh wait, I'm on the wrong side. Oh, I'm on the right side of the bracket. I did take Washington over the Islanders just because I want the underdog effect here. So it's a little bit different this year with the difference in divisions. Normally, Toronto would be facing the Capitals. Toronto would be facing Carolina in the finals, but it looks like the brackets are all completely messed. So Carolina is playing right. So wait, I just messed that all up.
I stopped listening, dude. I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right. So Colorado versus St. Louis in the first round, Seth. Where are you going with Colorado versus St. Louis?
Colorado's been the best team, one of the best teams in the league this year. I'll go with Colorado.
I will as well. Vegas and Minnesota.
I know Minnesota won game one. I still think Vegas is a better team. Minnesota's kind of overachieved. I'll go with Vegas.
Vegas is a better team. Vegas and Colorado.
Colorado.
Okay. So let's go to the other one. So we got Tampa Bay and Carolina.
I'll go with Tampa.
All right. So the final four that you have is Tampa Bay, Colorado. You didn't pick Washington or the Islanders.
I'll go with Washington.
Okay. Tampa Bay, Colorado, Washington, and then Toronto over Edmonton?
Yeah, Toronto over Edmonton.
Okay. So Toronto or Carolina?
Toronto.
Okay. I will pick Carolina. And you got Washington or Colorado?
Colorado.
So you have So you have Colorado versus Toronto in the finals, which is an interesting final. And I have Colorado versus Carolina in the final, and I'll take Carolina to win. So you have Toronto or Colorado?
Just to make you feel better, I will take Colorado.
I really appreciate that, actually, because it would be very
Your heart's
hard.
not ready. Your heart's not ready for Toronto to win a Super.
Oh no, my heart will never be ready for that team as long as Tavares is on. Not a
Do we start the? Is this going to be? For 25 years we had either 1940 or Potvin, and then we had Potvin Sox on the other side. What is the Nassau Coliseum chant for Tavares when he comes back?
Nothing, because Nassau Coliseum is ended this year.
Wait, where are they playing this year then?
They're going to Belmont next year.
Next year they're going to the place in Brooklyn.
Right.
But where are they right now?
Oh, they're at the Nassau Coliseum right now.
Yeah.
Right now, they just call him Pajama Boy.
Boy?
Well, so when Tavares went to Toronto, he announced it via Twitter. And the way he announced it via Twitter was he used to wear Toronto Blue Jays pajamas. So he was in his bed in his Toronto Blue Jays pajamas and in his Toronto Blue Jay blanket and said, this is what I've always wanted to do, or something like that. So that's how he announced he was going to Toronto. So the chant is Pajama Boy for him. So nobody likes a pajama boy. So, all right, let's move on to the NBA. So, which you obviously have a lot more interest in than the NHL.
And knowledge, let's be fair.
And that starts tonight. So Charlotte plays Indiana, and Washington plays Boston in the playoff in the playing game. I love Washington in this. We discussed this a couple of weeks ago.
I think everybody does, because the other three teams are absolutely and utterly decimated by injury.
Well, two of them make it in. So, I mean,
right. And so I'm going with Washington to win tonight and to go in as the 7, which leads to a really fun first round series. Although as I root for Brooklyn, it's not the one I would want. And then I'm going to have excuse me. I'm going to have Charlotte as the 8.
Okay. I will take, again, as you said, Washington over Boston. Remember, in the playing game, all Boston and Indiana have to do is win one out of the two games, while Washington.
No, all Boston and Washington have to do is win one out of the two games.
Boston's playing Washington.
Yes, and so if Washington wins, they go in. If Boston loses this game and wins over the 9-10 game, they go in. Indiana has to win two games.
And what about Charlotte?
Charlotte has to win two games also. So between Indiana and Charlotte, whoever wins plays Boston if Boston loses to Washington.
Oh, I didn't know it was that way. Okay,
it's actually well run.
Okay.
If you're going to do this, and I feel a little bit of a hypocrite, to be honest, because I hate the first four, but I kind of enjoy this, and this may also be because the game tomorrow night is so good between Golden State and the Lakers.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So we have San Antonio versus Memphis and Golden State versus the Lakers. So I really want the Lakers to lose. I just want them to lose. Do you see any way that actually happens?
Yeah.
Stephen Curry goes for 100, right? I mean,
have you seen Stephen Curry this year?
I know.
When we do our All NBA teams, is there any question that Stephen Curry's on the first team?
No, none whatsoever.
Have the Lakers looked championship-esque in any capacity this year?
No, but it is funny to look at the ticket prices. So the ticket, and we'll get to the pick in a second. Ticket prices for Charlotte, Indiana is $19. Ticket price for Washington and Boston is $103. Ticket price for San Antonio, Memphis is $33. Ticket price for Golden State and Los Angeles, you want to make it? You want to guess?
$250.
$232. You're pretty well done. Well done. So double the price of any of the other games, and I would pay more. That's a great game.
Yeah, Adam Silver kind of hit the jackpot on this one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I actually will go with Golden State to win this game because I think, and then I have the Lakers going as the 8th seed. In the worst 1-8 matchup for a 1 seed since Miami Knicks in 1999, when you knew whoever was going to win that was going to probably go to the finals.
So you have the Lakers in the 8, and you have who in the 7?
Golden State beating the Lakers. I have the Lakers beating Memphis.
So you have Golden State in the 7, and then the Lakers in the 8. Mm-hmm. And then in the East, you have the Wizards in the 7 and Hornets in the 8.
Mm-hmm.
Wiz 7, Hornets 8. Okay. I'll stick with you. That sounds good. I like Golden State and the Lakers both making it. It makes it much more entertaining. I will tell you, if you're the San Antonio Spurs, let's play it out here. DeMar DeRozan, I believe, is on a free agent year. Is this where you tear it down?
I don't think you need a huge teardown. You have a lot of these guys like Forbes and Derek White and DeJounte Murray you have some young talent. I'm not re-signing DeRozan for $30 million a year, which is what he's going to want.
I'm totally with you. But the question is, at that point, you have Derek White signed to a pretty big contract. You have DeJounte Murray signed to a pretty big contract. You have some pretty big contracts on that team, and you're still going LaMarcus Aldridge, would have been a free agent. DeRozan, so you got some money coming off. You probably have some max salary there, but so does everybody else. So it's a matter of who's going to sign. Remember, before LaMarcus Aldridge, you didn't have a free agent signing. They didn't go after free agents. San Antonio.
They also didn't have to.
Right.
Because they had built the talent so well between the big three plus Kawhi Leonard, and everything else was supplemental. Now all those guys are gone. Kawhi's in LA. It's not the same.
Okay, so let's move on. So we have Utah versus the Lakers in the first round.
That's good.
It is good. It's a good matchup.
I'm taking Utah.
Thank God. Could you imagine the Lakers pulling that out? I mean, I can see it if LeBron goes nuts. But Utah is the best team in the NBA for a reason. Best team. Yeah, they're the best team in the NBA. They had the best record. They're the best team for a reason. And I think Gobert, I think you're going to get an appreciation. Gobert's Defensive Player of the Year, I think, 3 times now. But I don't think I think we both established he does not get the recognition nationally that he probably deserves.
No, he doesn't. He's known for more as the schmuck who started the COVID run in the NBA than for anything else. So, I mean, look, he's a top 3 center in the NBA. He's a Defensive Player of the Year. He's probably a lower 5 to 10 MVP candidate. He's been the best player on the best team in the league this year. He should get more credit.
Okay, and then we got Golden State against the Suns. Another, I like this matchup better than the Lakers.
This is a fun matchup. I'm going with Phoenix, but Phoenix in 6 or 7, and I think it's a good series.
All right, so let me write this down. So we got Utah, and then Phoenix on the other side. I don't have a bracket handy, so I just got to do it by hand. I'm going to take Golden State, just to be contrarian here. Look, Phoenix is a great team.
It's a good. They're a great story. I don't think it's a huge upset for Golden State to win this game.
No, and I think the depth comes into play when you're Phoenix in this type of series. So I'm going to take Golden State. But I do have I have Utah and I have Golden State. And the West the NBA does or does not reseed. I always forget that. I don't believe that they do.
Does not what? No, they don't.
Does not reseed. They do not reseed. Okay. So 3 versus 5, 3 versus 6. The Nuggets versus the Trailblazers. These are all great matchups.
Is that a 4-5 or is that the 3-6?
That's a 3-6. It's a 3-6.
I like Portland.
Absolutely, 100%. You and I have been singing the praises of Portland all year.
Yeah.
I will absolutely.
They're healthy. They're big enough. Denver doesn't have Jamal Murray.
So, okay, so we both have Portland in here. And then we have the 4-5 is Dallas and the Clippers. Like, all these series are really good.
Awesome.
But I'll take the Clippers because
I will too. Dallas Porzingis just hasn't developed into the number 2 that they wanted him to become.
And I think playoff Kawhi not shuts down, but minimizes what Luka can do. I don't think anybody shuts down Luka.
I don't think even minimizes. I think mitigates is probably a better way to put it.
That's probably a better word. Okay, so you have Utah. You have Utah, the Clippers, Portland, and
Phoenix.
Okay,
and Utah. And yeah,
right. And I have everybody but
you have Golden State.
Right, and I have Golden State. Yep. I don't know why I wrote that there. Okay, so now let's go to the East, and then we'll come back to the bracket. 76ers against what we have here.
76ers.
The Hornets, right? So one is the 76ers, 1 versus 8, 1v8. 2v7, the Nets and the Wizards, the Zards.
It's fun. It's a fun series, but the Nets in 6.
I'll take the Nets as well. 3 versus 6 is the Heat and the Bucks. I think the Bucks get retribution for last year and actually blow them out. I think they finish in 5.
Yeah, I like Milwaukee pretty easily as well.
And then we got the 4, and then we got the series, right? The Knicks and the Hawks, the series. I'm going to take the Knicks. I think the Knicks have a shot here. I really do.
Why wouldn't they have a shot? They're the 4 seed.
I get it. But look, talent-wise, I think that the Hawks are a better team. I think that, look, besides Julius Randle, Derrick Rose has been an amazing story. Munday is a good story. RJ Barrett is a 17-6 guy. But if you look at that Hawks roster, they are littered with talent. They may not be able to put it all together just yet, but they have more talent than the Knicks do. I just think Thibodeau is – you said it a couple of weeks ago. Thibodeau is the coach of the year. and I think he's able to devise some defense. And I'll pick the Knicks in that series.
I will too. I think it's going to be a very close series. I think it's going to be a very good series. I think you're looking at a 6 or 7 game. I don't think it's a particularly sexy series unless you live in New York or Atlanta. Because I don't think anyone thinks either of these teams has a chance in the second round. But look, if the Knicks can win a playoff series, similar to the Islanders, if they can win a series, that's a victory in itself. And
I would agree with that. But let me ask you this. Who has a better shot over the 76ers?
who has a better shot against the 76ers? The Knicks or the Hawks? The Hawks.
I would agree with that as well.
Because look, the Phillies are a very good defensive team between Simmons and Embiid, but the Hawks have a lot more offensive weapons than the Knicks do, and I think look, not that Clint Capella is going to not stop Embiid, but he's a better defensive center than anything the Knicks have right now with Mitchell Robinson out. And I'm not a Philly guy. I don't see. I don't see, Matisse they're a very good defensive team, but offensively they scare me, which is why if they end up playing the Nets in the finals, will be such a fascinating matchup.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so now we go to the West, right? So we have Utah versus Portland.
No, we have Utah is the 1 seed. They play the 4-5.
Right. Sorry, I am all
who are you today?
I don't know. It's been Utah versus the Clippers.
I like Utah.
And I would take Utah as well. And then I have Phoenix.
You have Phoenix.
And you have the Lakers.
No, what? No.
Wow.
I'm running the show. This is stupid. You have Golden State versus Portland. I have Portland versus Phoenix. I'm taking Portland to go to the conference finals.
As am I. So I will take Portland as well. And then we have
the same conference final?
I'm taking Portland over Utah, dude. I'm going Portland.
Oh. I said it on the Gary Age show this morning also. So I kind of had to go with it.
Okay, that's fair. So let's go to the East. The Knicks and the 76ers. You're taking the 76ers. You've already said that. And then the Bucks and the Nets.
This is the best series. This is the best second round series to me. I think whoever wins this beats Philly.
Agreed.
I'm going to go with the Nets. And I think it's going to be really, really good.
And I'm going to go with the Bucks just to be contrarian here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You see, so I have the Bucks versus Portland in the finals, which
Adam Silver's wet dream.
It is definitely not, and I would presume you have the Nets versus Portland, which may be your wet dream, but certainly
my wet dream is it's the New Jersey Nets led by Michael Ray Richardson and Otis Birdsong in the backcourt, Albert King and Buck Williams at the 3-4 beating Philly in the 83 opening round. Bang, but. Now, the Brooklyn, I root for Brooklyn, but this is not. I'm a Jersey boy. Brooklyn is not my team.
By the way, I did not notice this today. Okay, first, who's winning your finals? Nets or Portland?
The Nets.
Okay, and I'm going to take Portland beating the Bucks.
Wow.
You know what? I need a win, and I'll just go.
And you decided to take the 6th seed.
I did. Has a 6th seed ever won the NBA playoffs? I don't think so.
Houston, 1995.
Olajuwon's year.
The year they beat Orlando.
Okay.
I think they were a 6th seed.
Okay, that's fair. By the way, I did not see that Monty Williams was voted the National Basketball Coaches Association Coach of the Year today. So much for my Tom Thibodeau being Coach of the Year.
You knew the top 3 were going to be Monty, Thibodeau, and Quinn Snyder.
Oh, I agree with that. Oh, by the way, Karis LeVert is also going to miss the play-in game.
Okay, and I was absolutely correct. The Houston Rockets were the 6th seed. Wow. How I knew that, but I don't remember what I did 2 days ago. beyond me.
Well, because we're getting old and our long-term memory is much better than our short-term memory.
Could be.
It's just the way that works. I mean, without any doubt, that's the way it works. But let me ask you this. So Kyrie Irving, who I believe is overrated in general, joined the 50-40-90 club, right? 50% field goals, 40% 3 points, 90% free throws, which is a pretty impressive club. I'm not exactly sure how many have done that. I know Mark Price did it at one point.
Steve Nash, I think, did it.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Sorry, neither one of those guys did. Larry Bird, Stephen Curry, and Kevin Durant. Oh, no, those are the only guys that have done 25 points per game. There are a lot more that have done just normal.
Larry Bird, Mark Price, Reggie Miller, Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki, Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, Malcolm Brogdon.
Wow, Malcolm Brogdon and Mark Price are probably the two outliers on that group, right? I mean, if you're going to take two guys, neither one Hall of Famers, although Price was a really, really good player.
Price was a very, very good player.
Very, very good player.
And, that's something we can also talk about is, we've talked about how the baseball Hall of Fame has become a little bit diluted. Ben Wallace.
Well, I was going to get to that in a second, but I wanted to talk about Kyrie Irving. So we'll get to that. Kyrie Irving has said numerous times this week that he doesn't want to talk about basketball. He wants to talk about politics in his post-game press conference. What are your thoughts on that? Because I have my own, and I was just wondering.
I have no interest in Kyrie Irving's thoughts on politics. He has the right to do it, but the reality is we listen to people who are experts in the field. Kyrie is an expert in the basketball field. Kyrie, who I believe at one point said the earth was flat.
He did.
I'm not overly concerned about Kyrie's views on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. I'm not. He's allowed to say them, but I don't know why they would have any bearing on anything.
I'd actually go the other way. So, not that I approve of them. Actually, I completely disapprove of them. So, I don't have a problem with an athlete speaking his or her mind. Not whatsoever. They should absolutely do it. When people say stick to sports, I don't agree with that whatsoever.
Completely agree. Doesn't mean I have to. Sorry, continue.
What I do have a problem with is if he does it at the press conference of a game he just played. Because to me, that's his office, right? That's where he should be conducting work. He's getting paid to be a basketball player, and that's work. He's at work. You conduct work. If you and I spouted off about politics at work, we wouldn't, well, aside from the fact that you own your own business, I would not be employed if I spent my day spouting about politics at work. And I have a problem with him doing it at a press conference after a game. If he wants to do it on Twitter later, have at it.
No, I apologize. That's kind of where I should have gone with this. It's not the proper place to be saying it. And it's also, as I said, you're allowed to say, look, people say whatever they want. We see this all the time. But I also don't, how many entertainers bring up all these things all the time. How often do I listen to them? Unless they're learned in something, I don't really care. He has the absolute right to say it, but I agree. It's I'm not sure it's the right place for it. And if you're sorry, now I'm sounding like you. I'm not, he's allowed to say it. I have nothing against it. I'm not overly interested in his opinions on it.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize. It's been a rough week. It's just been a rough week for both of us. And we could probably get away with it a lot better if we were just on audio, but we're not. So we apologize, and we promise to be better next week more than anything else. We'll both get some sleep. But let's turn our attention, as you said, to the Basketball Hall of Fame. So the Basketball Hall of Fame enshrined Kobe and Kevin Garnett and Tim Duncan this past weekend. A lot was made that Kevin Garnett thanked Brooke Lopez over thanking Ray Allen and Rajon Rondo. Quite frankly, I don't give a damn who he thanks. And if he wants to not thank Ray Allen, have at it. I mean, to me,
they've been fighting. They've been fighting for 10 years.
Right, exactly.
He thanked Brooke. I didn't read anything on the speeches. He thanked Brooke Lopez.
Yes, he did.
Wow.
Right, exactly. Well, and that was the point, right? You say, wow, because he thanked Brooke Lopez and didn't thank his championship.
He played 1 year with Brooke Lopez, didn't he?
Yes.
That trade I tried to forget. Yeah.
Yeah, the trade, the Billy King amazement. So you have that, and unfortunately, you have Kobe Bryant's wife Vanessa, obviously taking the honor from for Kobe posthumously. Thank you. Wow. Okay, that word. We had the new selections, right? So the new selections include Chris Webber. Yes, absolutely overdue. Because remember, the Hall of Fame is the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. It is not the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame. What Webber did in college was insane. And continuing what he was an all-NBA player, I think 3 times. It's a no-brainer. It's a shame he waited this long. Rick Adelman? I'm not sure. The 9th winningest coach in NBA history. Now, I get that he was the Drexler coach. I get that has some meaning to you. But do you just, he didn't win a championship. So I have a hard time with him.
Well, I'm not sure I'd base it on a championship, but I was not. Well, this is for over the 2021. I had heard about this for a while, that there were a lot of people that were backing him for it. He wasn't somebody that was really on my radar, but I'm a little surprised.
Well, I'm going to get you the 8 in front of them because I think that's kind of important. So the 8 in front of them are, hold on one second, wins. Let's sort. Don Nelson, Lenny Wilkins, Greg Popovich, Jerry Sloan, Pat Riley, George Karl, Phil Jackson, Larry Brown, and then Adelman. And the only one that's not in the Hall of Fame is George Karl.
Well, wait a minute here. You just talked about how pretty much that one of the rationale for him not getting in is he hasn't won a championship.
And Don Nelson is number 1.
Nelson didn't win a championship. George Karl did not win a championship.
Now, it doesn't necessarily say that Nelson got in because of his coaching.
Nelson did not get in. Nelson did not get in as the 8th man on the Celtics. Not a champion.
No, but he won championships, right?
No. Nelson was an 8th or 9th man on the Celtics. That's
okay.
Didn't do anything.
Lenny Wilkins. Look.
I think he won 1 coaching championship. I think he won 79 Seattle.
Yep.
Okay.
So Adelman went to 2 conference finals and did not win 1.
Yes, he did. They went to the 92 championship. They lost to Jordan.
He did not win a championship. That's what I meant. He went to.
Okay. You said 2 conference finals.
He won 2 conference finals and did not win a finals.
Yeah, they lost to Detroit in '89 and Chicago in '92.
And Sloan went to 2 conference finals and won 2 conference finals and lost both of them to Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Look, I just don't like compiling.
It's a borderline. It's not a. Yeah, I don't blame you.
So Rick Adelman, by the way, won 58% of his games. That's Don Nelson only won 56. So I mean, if this is the Harold Baines problem, right, where it's, hey, we put this guy in, so we have to put this other guy in, and that's going to happen a lot, unfortunately. Okay, Chris Bosh. To me, that's a no-brainer. Chris Bosh is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I mean,
11-time All-Star.
Yeah, it is. At no point did I ever think, I've always been a big advocate of the best of the best. At no point did I think Bosh was one of the 3 best players at his position in the league. But he also, to be fair, took a back seat in his prime years in Miami. So, I mean, he was going to get in. I find it hard that he got in, I think, on his first try, while Weber got in on his 8th.
Yes, agreed. Okay, Paul Pierce.
No-brainer.
No-brainer. The first black NBA coach, Bill Russell. So he got in as a coach after he got in as a player. Okay, fine. Ben Wallace. There's no way Ben Wallace deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. None.
No.
4-time NBA Defensive Player of the Year. I believe Mark Eaton is a 3-time NBA Defensive Player of the Year. He won an NBA championship. You're going to say he was an undrafted free agent, so it's a good story. But that story does nothing for him. He's not a Hall of Famer at all.
Well, the question then becomes, if he's a Hall of Famer, his career points per game is 5.
Yeah.
So the only player that's even in the ballpark of that is Dennis Rodman. And I don't even think Rodman was that low. And yeah, this is. I mean, if we're going to do this, does this kind of bring in the Robert Horry?
Yeah, well, that's what Rudy Tomjanovich said in his speech. Rudy Tomjanovich stumped for Robert Horry in his speech this week when he was elected to the Hall of Fame. By the way, Mark Eaton, 3 all-defensive first teams, 2 all-defensive second teams. He holds the hold on, I found this before. I believe he was blocks per game. He's first all time. I mean, Mark Eaton was a solid player, but he's no Hall of Famer. I mean, and that's just my issue. I mean, and Mark Eaton, I believe, averaged more points than Ben Wallace.
Yeah, this is absurd. 4-time player of the year, defensive player of the year, 4-time All-Star. Had a nice, he had a nice 5 or 6 year run. Was backbone of a team that went to a title, that won a title and one that lost one. But under no circumstances, none, would I have ever fathomed him as a Hall of Famer.
So Eaton won it twice, by the way. Eaton won with 3.8 blocks and then 5.6 blocks, which is absolutely insane when you think about 5.6 blocks per game. A different game, nonetheless, definitely a different game, more center oriented than even when Wallace was there. But yeah, I'm not in his camp. Chris Webber goes, really nice moment with him and Jalen Rose. I'm glad that hopefully is done, and I hope we get another 30 for 30 that has him involved or something along those lines. It's unfortunate that Chris Webber was released by TNT in the same week that he made the Hall of Fame, but that is what it is. Jay Wright?
Yeah.
You put Jay. I get the 2-time NCAA champion. I get all that. Jay Wright, I'm not sure has the counting stats.
He's kind of up there right now, to be honest. I'm pulling up the stats right now. Hold on. I mean, that team has been to 3 or 4, 5. I mean, he's been the best. He's 50. He's been coaching. It doesn't seem like it, but he's been a head coach for
609 wins. He's got 609 wins total. 489 at Nova. So,
yeah, 72% winning percentage. Went to the Final Four once. Won 2 national titles. Is probably considered right now one of the 3 best coaches in college basketball. I don't have a big problem with it. I think it could have waited a couple years, but I don't have a big problem with it.
He's 103rd overall. Like, that's where it gets me. He's 103rd overall in wins. And like you said, I think it could have waited a couple more years. So I have a little problem with him. And then you have Yolanda Griffith and Lauren Jackson, and I have no problem with either one of those people, either one of those women.
Lauren Jackson was the Australian who was one of the premier players to come over to the WNBA and dominated it in its infancy.
Yeah,
from New Jersey.
three-time WNBA champion, and Yolanda Griffith was a two-time Olympic gold medalist. Yolanda Griffith, excuse me. So no problem with that. But I agree. I'm more on how many people, how long are these speeches going to be next year? I mean, I don't listen to most of them, but wow, that's going to be a very long period of time to keep watching this. And let me ask you this: So I'm looking at the NBA.com press release with regards to Adelman. Do you give a coach credit for the players that were under him?
Not particularly. This goes back to the whole Phil Jackson thing. That he's coached. He coached two teams where he had two in each team. He had two of the 25 best players of all time. I'm more of the guy. I like the teams that build the Bill Snyder-esque kind of things. That's who I root for. That's who I think highly of in the coaching more than the people who just take over teams that are already bound to win championships.
Yeah, well, this is the Roy Williams argument, right? As to why he is an overrated coach in general, in that he got great teams, and who knows what he would have done with teams that were not great in general. So we have about 10 minutes. Is there anything that you would like to talk about that we haven't hit upon? I obviously was not prepared for today.
No, this wasn't your greatest day.
No.
Two quick, pretty cool things. When we talk about sports and you talk about all these big teams and all this, if you want to see some really great reactions and great celebrations, there was two that happened on Saturday. One was Leicester City winning the FA Cup. The FA Cup is the English soccer cup where every team that's in one of the top 5 divisions plays in a year-long championship run. And they beat Chelsea in the final. And Leicester is the team that 5 years ago made that crazy run as 2,000-1 odds and won the title. They've been consistently really good since, and they're the best non-quote-unquote Big Six team. And they should go to the Champions League this year. But the joy that you saw is their first win in 137 years in existence. It was their first champion. If you watch the celebration for the 5 minutes afterwards, it's amazing to watch. That was pretty cool. And then also Charles Oliveira, who's kind of a middling 155 guy in the UFC, won 10 out of nowhere, won 10 in a row and won his title. And won the title on Saturday night. And the 3-minute reaction afterwards, where he literally sprints out of the ring, hugs everyone, goes into the crowd. That's why we love sports. Even if it's not teams we like or players we love, that's the enjoyment that we get out of it.
Could you play "You're the Best Around" by Joe Esposito while he's running around? Would that have worked out well?
Yeah, because nothing's ever going to keep him down.
Right, exactly. Let me ask you this. Harry Kane, leaving Tottenham or not leaving Tottenham?
He can request all he wants. I'm impressed you brought up a soccer point. It must have been on the ESPN ticker.
It was not.
It was not? Okay. Here's the problem. He's got 3 years left on his contract. Tottenham's going to want $120 to $150 million. And we're coming off a COVID year where nobody brought in money. I don't see who's going to pay for it. I don't buy it. I think he wants to go.
Fan because I now have a Tottenham jersey, so I do follow.
It is a pretty cool Tottenham jersey, and that is the team I've rooted for over the years.
I do follow Tottenham. So, by the way, if you haven't noticed, Travis Etienne is now working out
as a wide receiver.
Yeah, seriously.
Along
with Tim Tebow, who's working out as a tight end.
Is Urban Meyer drunk?
No.
The Tebow thing I understand.
Dude, I'm surprised you don't see more of that. I really am. I'm surprised you don't see James White flanked out as a tight end. Not a tight end, as a wide receiver, if you're New England. I'm surprised you don't see that third down back in more of a receiving situation. Why not?
You don't draft a first-round pick to do this.
Agreed.
And the pick didn't make much sense to me then because James Robinson was wonderful last year.
Agreed.
And if you're going to take a wide receiver, apparently he wanted Tony Kadarius, to quote you. No, he wanted Kadarius Toney supposedly. I guess he didn't want the big, strong guy like Bateman. So I guess this was the thought process. But man, it's weird. It's just weird.
Oh, it's not what I want to do. Okay, so we have about 5 minutes left. Let me break something down for you. If you are in a fantasy football league, I would pay very close attention to week 7 because I don't think there's ever been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams on a bye. Good luck with that. And then week 14, which is generally the playoffs. Seth, I'm not sure if you read Monday Morning Quarterback or Football Morning in America.
I didn't this week.
Peter King had somebody from ESPN on that has says because there are bye weeks in supposedly the first round of the playoffs this year, that the ESPN is contemplating a 2-week first round. Combined weeks 4, because we're extended a week, you can either extend the regular season a week, which would be, the smartest thing you could do, and just have another week of regular season, or they said we will combine weeks 14 and 15 as a first round multi-week because of the bye weeks. So just something to think about when you're drafting. So there are 2 things. Week 7 has 6 teams. You have the Bills, the Cowboys, the Jaguars, the Chargers, the Vikings, and the Steelers. That's a lot of teams to have a bye week. So one of 2 things can happen. You can have you could just load up on those 6 teams and lose that 1 week, or just watch out that you have enough waiver claims for that week. We may be spending all of our money that week. Or a 2-round playoff sounds fun. I like the 2-round playoff idea, but I'd prefer it in the Super Bowl rather than in the first round. But given that it's a bye week in the first round, you're not going to do that. I promise to be better next week. Go Isles. You're up.
I'm good.
All right.
Yeah, I got nothing. I'm not much better shape than you are.
So for Seth Kamens, I'm Sean Palmer. We will be back. We're contemplating a change to Wednesday next week. So we will see if that happens. We will keep you alerted via Facebook. Have a great week, everybody. Seth, get some sleep. I hope to get some as well. Have a good one. Bye.